Rush Limbaugh broke all partisan hack records with his commentary on the Florida election. Take a look at this.
Count every vote is a dog whistle for we need to find more votes, not votes that have been cast.
The effort here is to make it look like Rick Scott and DeSantis and the Republicans are trying to not count ballots. That's the purpose of this. Count every vote is not really a requirement. It is meant for the media to use that as a psychological message to the great unwashed that somebody's trying to not count every vote. And of course, who's standing for this and calling for it? Why, our good friends, the Democrats. When in fact, it's all Kaka. Count every vote is nothing more than a trick to make people think dastardly, evil Republicans are not counting every vote.
He's like a parody of a human being. He really is. And he's stuck in 1982. It's Kaka! God damn it, Rush. I mean, they're at this point, they're now literally arguing, counting every vote's not a requirement. What? They want to count every vote. Crazy fucking lefties. Now, he makes it seem like, this is made up out of whole cloth. What they're doing is they're creating new votes, and that's what they mean by count every vote. Well, no. In fact, the president was saying quite the opposite. So look at this. This is from Time. In a tweet on Monday, Trump called for the state to stop counting ballots and stick with the results from election night, a move that, while circumventing state law, would also disenfranchise members of the military and civilians overseas whose ballots can arrive until November 16th and still be counted. Quote, these overseas and military voters, the worst thing for them is to hear our country's leader saying, don't count these votes, said Susan, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, President and CEO of the U.S. Vote Foundation, a nonprofit that helps overseas voters cast their ballots. They go to incredible lengths to send their ballots back. So hilarious. The guy who pretends like, I'm so pro the military, it's unbelievable, it'll make your head spin. He's like, don't count the votes of the military because they're coming from overseas and they might change the results, so I don't like them. He's saying literally just go with election night. What? As if like that's part of any kind of protocol. Like, in the case of this, or this, you just default to what we thought was the case when only 98% of the votes were counted. Are you fucking insane? No, they're not insane. They're just rank partisan tribalist hacks. Now, here's how you know they're insane partisan tribalist hacks. You go back and look at the history of it. Anytime there's an election where it appears like the Democrat won with 99% of the vote in, and they still have to count more ballots, and it's the Democrat who's up, they go, of course you have to count every ballot. What do you mean? That's the only way for the Republican to win. So keep counting all the ballots, and then maybe the Republican will win. They flip their standard like that. In fact, in this election, there are some instances like that. This same goddamn election, and Fox News ran segments of like, we got to count every vote in this place. I mean, come on, what are we doing here? This is crazy. Obviously, you get all the ballots, and then you count all the ballots. But then in the case of Gillum, and in the case of Ben Nelson, they go, no, the Republicans are up with 98 or 99% of the votes in. So don't count the rest of them because we're up, and we don't want that to flip. Fuck you. You're such hacks. Here, you want to know how reasonable human beings act in this situation? Here, I'll give it to you. I have one standard that I use in all cases. You ready for that standard? It's count all votes, and whenever we're within 1 percentage point, automatic recount. That's my standard. I want to count every vote in all these scenarios, make sure we get it right, okay? And then I also want to have, if it's ever within 1%, automatic recount should be triggered. That's what I say. Now, you won't come to this show now and see me in a circumstance where 99% of the votes are counted and the Democrats barely up and the Republican calls for a recount and to count every vote. You will never see me come out here and say, no, don't count every vote because the Democrat's up. Don't do that. Don't do a recount because the Democrat's up and I want them to hold their 0.5 percentage point lead. Don't count them. You would never hear me do that because I'm not a partisan, tribalist, hack, idiot, moron, loser stuck in 1982 and doing rank propaganda and not even good at it.